Aunt Myra Doesn't Pee a Lot is the 20th episode of the 4th season of Two and a Half Men. This is directed by Zaks, and as always there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode and share some thoughts. It's an absolutely fine episode. There are a couple of moments that I really thoroughly enjoyed, but I don't really care for Myra as a character, so I wasn't really too bothered about some of it. It starts off with, obviously, the morning after the previous episode. Charlie ended up sleeping with Myra, and Charlie tells Alan this is different. He really likes Myra. And actually, I do genuinely believe that Charlie had feelings beyond lust for Myra. And it would be interesting to see things, developing a little bit more. But unfortunately, as I said, I don't really like the character very much. Alan then tries to find some wedding clothes for Jake, which feels like they're leaving the rental a little bit last minute. And then Charlie takes Myra to some touristy stuff, and clearly he does like to spend time with her, which is not something we usually get outside of the bedroom with Charlie. So I think that is definitely very telling about how he feels. And Myra invites Charlie to Judith and Herb's wedding. And then and then Jake gets a lot of food on his suit because he decided to wear it to the dinner table, which was not a good idea, and they were eating, I think, spaghetti. It was very, very messy. We then have a moment that I did genuinely enjoy. Myra is on the phone to Judith, telling her if she wants to invite Charlie, she will invite Charlie. I don't agree with that. If the bride or groom tells you they don't want somebody at their wedding, they kind of have the final say. That's kind of their decision to make. So I don't agree with that. And that being said, would it be that much of a big deal to invite your son's uncle, that is of course what Charlie is to Jake, to your wedding? Well, Judith has her own reasons, I guess, and Myra says it's not a big deal. She hangs up the phone, and then immediately after, the house phone rings, and Alan just turns to it, knowing that he will have the wrath of Judith on the other end of it, and I rather enjoyed that moment quite a lot. Berta then asks Charlie what he's doing with Myra, and we have a very well-written exchange between Berta and Charlie, actually. I quite like that. And then Jake gets more food on his suit. And we're then at the wedding. And I quite like that. We're not there for too long, but we're there enough to kind of get a good feel for it. I think I would have liked to have been there a little bit longer. I think we could have got a little bit more out of it. But what we got was certainly very good. And Alan is ending up flirting. Well, Alan maybe is flirting, but it's more so that Herb's former fiancé is the one flirting with Alan. And then as Charlie and Myra are walking down the aisle, Myra reveals that actually she's engaged. And I didn't much like her before that, but I certainly didn't like her after that. And Charlie almost disrupts the wedding by having an outburst and saying, how could you not tell me this? And then it's actually technically Alan who interrupts the wedding, because Herb's former fiancé tries to have sex with Alan. Alan just wants to get out of the room, but she's making it very clear that people are going to think they're having sex, and he bursts into the room and says, I'm Alan Harper and I'm not having sex, which is probably not what anybody would expect to hear on Judith and Herb's wedding day. And Judith looked wonderful. I loved the dress. It looks really good. And all of the outfits, the bridesmaids' dresses, I quite liked. I didn't think they looked that bad, honestly. I didn't mind them too much, but that might say more about my taste than anything else. It's an okay episode. It's definitely not the strongest. Personal highlights would have to be, honestly, not a lot, to be perfectly honest. The phone call, Judith phoning Alan, and just that pause as Alan goes to answer the phone, knowing that it's not going to be good on the other end. For me, that's probably the highlight. And Alan bursting in at the end, I thought was pretty funny. So, some good moments. Not a personal favourite. I don't love Myra as a character, but at the end of it, and Myra Doesn't Pee a Lot is not a bad episode.